Nation Network. What's going on? Hey, it's CBV, Chris Van Vliet, and you guys are crushing it. I want to send you a big congratulations on the 2,000 subscribers. 2K22 is unbelievable, and I love that everybody's kind of jumping on board here and realizing how great the content that you're putting out is. So for the community, a big thank you for being part of the Nation Network, and you guys are just getting started. Woo! Keep it going.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Nation Network. I am Vince McSham, your host, and we're getting ready to do another round of PWI Review and Remember. We tried that out the other day, had a lot of fun with it. Hopefully, we can do the same again. We've got a little bit more of a game plan this time around, I think. I'll drop this in here for you guys. And there we go. If you want to partake in the stream, there is the link. Just jump in. You'll be sent to the green room. We'll bring you guys in. Once we get at least 2 or 3 guys to go head to head, there'll be time limits this time around. That was a good suggestion after the last one. So we'll keep it moving a little bit more quickly. Just to give you guys an idea, though, what we're doing today is we are reviewing a different issue. I'm still getting used to all these new buttons and stuff, and I'm liking this thing. I really am. So this time around, we are looking at the wrestling scene. Still trying to figure a couple things here. I want to know what I can do, and looks like most of this stuff is all going to be geared towards multiple people on screen. So I thought I could maybe shove this picture off to the side or something, but it doesn't appear that way. So bye. And there it goes. Okay, so in the meantime, talk about this magazine a little bit more. There's a couple other pages here, but I don't want to give them up yet. Otherwise, you guys are going to have an unfair advantage. We're going to test your wrestling knowledge here today, though. And of course, I know all the answers already, so. Oh, by the way, there's a few other pictures in there I didn't bother, or have time, I should say, to capture, but here's an old black and white for the Hulk Hogan poster. That was a hot item back in the day, no doubt about it. Blaze Radio, what's up? Blaze, you think you know wrestling from 1986? We're January of 86 with this episode or issue of the wrestling scene. We're going to test people's wrestling knowledge here in just a second. All right, we're going to take a look at first things first. Their official ratings page. So back in January of 86, who do you think the most hated were? We've got a top 10 list. We'll start at the bottom. Number 10 was Ted DiBiase. Number 9, Gino Hernandez. Number 8 was Jimmy Garvin. Number 7 was Big John Studd. Number 6 was The Missing Link. I remember being like legit scared of The Missing Link. Number 5, Kevin Sullivan. Number 4 was Abdullah the Butcher. Anyone want to take a wild guess who number 3 was? If you share a video at the bottom of the screen, you should be able to show it while your picture is up. Upload the video. Let's see. I'm not sure exactly what that all means, but let's see. Share. But it wasn't a video though. It was a still photo. Will it work with still photos? Because that's what I was thinking. But no, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't give me the option. It's just there's no videos there, so it's all blank in the folder. What I was trying to do is get a still photograph and maybe have that off to the side of the camera a little bit. But with the video, I think it does do it that way because I tried that earlier. As a matter of fact, we can try that now. Hold on a minute. If I can remember where I put the stupid video that I want. I know where it's at. Video file. And it will be under... Like I said, under StreamYard. There you go. Makes sense, doesn't it? I was going to do this on a separate stream, and I still will, but take a look here at, there we go. And now I'm off on the side. AEW gameplay. I'm sure you guys have all probably seen this by now, but if you haven't, it does look like it's going to be a fun game. I didn't get to the slides thing. I saw that as an option, and I didn't want to do it in this case because I don't want them sliding through to the top 10 list and stuff because then everybody has the answers already. But I did notice it. And this camera's like going really high. So graphically, this looks pretty good. I mean, we knew it was going to be a arcade style, so they got that. You got Aubrey in the ring, which is nice, and you actually have a name referee. It would have been a major fail if they didn't. What? No FTR? How is that possible with all the names they have in the game that arrived way after FTR? Oh, that's going to be a major... Ooh, people going to be upset. I'm already upset. hell is that? Yeah, I can't imagine. No cage matches. I mean, that's like Wrestling 101. Maybe they'll add it later. How do you not have a cage match? I'm sure they're going to have the exploding ring, the death match in there, because nothing has to happen except for some sparklers going off, so they can handle that. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's a little disappointing if it's true about the cage match, but it's really disappointing if it's true about FTR. Then again, this is not the finished product, obviously, so I think it looks pretty good for where it's at right now and the amount of time they have left to work on it. I would say that's about the way I figured the models were going to look. Just reminds me a little bit of some Here Comes the Pain, and I think we're just ready for a breath of something like that again. Battleground did not scratch that itch, not even close.
Yo, what's happening?
Not much, man. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here.
I'm getting ready for an interview tonight and watching my Steelers, so I'm a little busy, but I wanted to. It's easier for me to explain it to you than to type it.
Got you. How the Steelers doing, by the way?
It's just preseason. I don't really worry about preseason very much.
I don't worry about any of the season anymore, but okay.
What I was trying to say is when I want a still picture up, I use that still picture in my video editor and just make like a 30-second video out of that one still. Because when you, like you said, when you upload just a still to share it, it covers the whole screen. But if you make a video out of that still, it'll let you share it like this. Because that's what I do with I don't use the slideshow function in StreamYards, but I make my own slideshows to use.
Got it. And then will it loop it?
It can. You can either make it real long or make it a couple. I mean, I just make videos out of still shots, and that's how I share it.
Okay, but like this video, for example, right now, is there a loop option?
That I don't know.
Doesn't look like it. Edit name, remove from studio. No.
Because I know there's two ways to share. You can either hit the share button on your menu below, or you can go and even to the right menu and upload the video to have in your list there on the right side.
Yeah, okay. I saw something about save video or use video that was uploaded or something.
Yeah, so if you upload videos to the right, I do that for like commercials and stuff like that. Because it'll play it over top of you.
Yes.
So two ways to do video, basically.
Okay. Definitely going to be playing a lot more with this thing as time.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff was trial and error.
That's part of the fun at the same time, man. That's how you know.
But I did see someone complain about FTR not in the game, and that is strange if they're not in the game.
I just can't believe that's true.
So some of the disheartening news I've heard, I mean, the game looks cool. Very No Mercy-ish. Because even Kenny Omega said it's not a photorealistic game. It's hybrid.
It's okay. We don't need it.
Yeah. But to hear no cages is weird. I hear the exploding match actually explodes the ring.
Wow, so, really?
Yeah, so you'll actually get like what it should have happened in the exploding ring. Guys like FTR, they can patch in, but I don't know if they can patch in a cage. They might just skip it this time, which, like you said, that's Wrestling 101, cage match.
Yeah, it's stunning. I mean, how many cage matches have they had? Not a ton. I mean, they do all these other things instead. If they're going to blow it up in a ring, they don't need a cage so much.
And their cage is a little different because it has that one side where you can fall into, which they actually did. Because the one side has a gap on their cage, and it's taller than a regular cage.
Why do I not remember this gap?
They had
like a Hell in a Cell kind of gap?
But smaller, only on one side. I don't know why, but they did a spot where someone got powerbombed literally into the cage and fell and disappeared. And I'm like, wait, that's not up against the ring.
Maybe it was supposed to be like the thing was supposed to explode.
I don't know. You never know. Some things work, some things don't. But I've heard some disappointing things about the game as far as creations. I heard there was no community creations.
Oh, there's zero?
I hope I'm wrong. These are just rumors now, because nothing's solid.
But you would think they would have mentioned something like that.
especially with all those guys being gamers. You'd figure they would want to upload your own logos, your own
creation. You want to make one that looks like you or whatever.
Share it with other people. So I don't know how full blown their creation suite's going to be, because they haven't talked about it much.
I got a funny feeling because Kenny, got into it with the devs a little bit there a few months back, and they might just be under the gun to get it done on time. And this is, what we're going to have to sacrifice to make that happen.
I'm afraid you might be right on with that. I'm still hyped about it because it's something different. It's not a photorealistic game. It is more arcadey a little bit, so I'm down for it.
I mean, if they're going to charge $60, though, I want a full wrestling game, not like this is what we're starting with, and then next year we'll have an actual game. Yeah,
and they actually made enhancements already from the first trailer to this one because Kenny looks different. So maybe they'll make some more adjustments before they release it. I don't know.
Well, like I said, I mean, the arena looks fantastic.
Yeah,
the ring looks fine. Aubrey looks okay, and the guys look all right. You can tell they're gonna clean them up a little bit more, I'm sure, between now and release.
I want Aubrey to do all her weird poses and faces like she does.
Oh, Lord.
She's so animated.
Yeah, she's animated, all right. I like the 2.99. There's a little...
I love the count on the danger meter and stuff like that. So it has such a arcade feel, which I dig. I don't want it to be the same as 2K. I don't want it to be the same as 2K, but I don't want it to be Fire Pro or Battlegrounds either.
No, I mean they're borrowing though from Fire Pro, and you have the 2.9, for example. So there's definitely a little homage being paid there.
But can you make your own arena? We don't know yet.
Well, geez, you're making me figure. If we can't make a wrestler, I doubt we're gonna make an arena.
Well, I mean, I think they're good. From what I've read, there is a creation suite, but I don't know if there's a community creation. So you can create somebody, but you won't be able to get other people's. I hope I'm wrong.
Wow. Well, all right. Let's just go with you can create, at the very least, that you can create your own, hopefully.
Well, I know you can't create a belt. They've already said that. No create a championship.
Wow.
That sucks to me too. But
yeah, that's a little bummer.
But is there, like you said, I think they are rushing it.
They are now.
Have you heard the same thing I have for his release before the end of the year now?
That's what they had said, but it almost sounds like that's not feasible. I mean,
if they come out right now and say, hey, we want to make some adjustments, it's not till March or May, I'm cool with that.
I think we were cool with it with 2K22. I mean, it's like whatever time you need to put a game out that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
I have to redo all my 2K again, 22, because now I got a PS5 finally.
Oh, cool.
And you can't transfer. That's the one game you can't transfer save file.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my PS4 has all my shit on it, and I've literally got to rebuild a roster, download. And this time around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do almost no AEW on this one. It's going to be almost all Impact and Ring of Honor. But yeah, man, it's a tedious pain in the ass. And I'll tell you, just going to community creations, it shuts down 6 or 7 out of 10 times.
Ever since you said to make sure you're backing it up, I back it up 3 times. I back it up on the cloud, on a hard drive, and on a thumb drive.
Good man.
And I needed it last time the patch came out. I was like, all right, I got to upload everything before the patch because I know I'm going to have to erase it and re-download it again because I couldn't edit wrestlers again after the patch.
What?
I went to edit a guy and it kept kicking me out. It would not let me save an created character. So I had to do the whole delete, re-download it, and then it worked again. Just like you've discussed, after every patch, something gets messed up. So the practice is delete the game, download it, bring it back from the cloud.
And I did that like 3 times here on the PS5 because I thought that the reason it wasn't bringing the save data back in was maybe because I had a digital version. Like I couldn't download a digital version of PS4, which is what I purchased.
Gotcha.
It would only do the PS5 version. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to get a disc of the PS4 version and then it'll cooperate that way. But then I fortunately went online, did a little more homework, and found out that no, it just is not going to work with this title.
Oh, that's weird. I knew there were some graphic enhancements on a 5 compared to the PS4, so maybe that's why you can't download what you saved on PS4 to your 5. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
So
no, it doesn't.
You go to community creation and download it again. It's the same exact file.
It just sounds like they screwed up. They didn't create the ability to transfer from 4 to 5.
No, the hell you say?
So are banking on 23 is going to be a lot better?
I didn't know you were a comedian.
I'm working on some new content here, so a new stand-up routine, all based on 2K 2022 and beyond.
Make sure you tip your waitresses. He'll be doing all week.
I'm hopeful, but once again,
I was hopeful. They done killed the hope in me.
Yeah, after no 21 and 20, and now, I mean, I see people still say how 22 is such a great game, and I'm like, not for creators.
No, I
mean, just a gamer, maybe.
Yeah, and if you're going to stick with just the base format of it, not universe mode or any of that kind of crap.
Well, cross fingers, toes, and eyes and everything. I've never had a problem with my universe mode. I've done all my live streams from universe mode. No issues. I know many that have.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you don't have
it's the frozen crowd.
Tag team finishers.
No tag team finishers. I have a frozen crowd every match.
Yeah, that is the worst. It's like I get a brawl outside the ring, double count out, and then they pan to a bunch of statues at ringside.
I just say, the first 3 rows are stunned at the action.
First 3, good for you.
The Wrestling Code One King mentioned it too. I'm still anticipating that one because I heard a lot of good things about that virtual basement game.
Yep, I was talking when I did the interview with Dre. He's one of the artists on that.
Yeah, Dre knows a lot about it.
Yeah, he was excited about it too. But they're still a little ways off, man. Over a year away, aren't they?
I know. It's like they've been talking about it, and I've seen screen capture and people doing the movement capture and stuff. Kurt Angle and a couple other people. I've seen the videos of them recording. I'm like, cool. Sounds like they're close to getting ready to release, or at least announce a release date. But no, like you said, I think it's never here.
Well, did you hear how they're doing the mocap?
No.
They are going to the wrestlers, the actual wrestlers. Each actual wrestler's mocap will be done by that individual. Well, they're going to wherever city they're going to be in to make it convenient for them. So that's a time consumer right there.
Yeah, it's probably better if they're going to get those names to do the extra work. But yeah, that's time consuming.
Yeah, it's going to have that
money to travel too.
Oh, no doubt. Especially now, these cost of gas, tickets, and everything else. It's through the friggin' roof. Yeah, HC wants to know if anyone's watching NWA tonight. I can say wholeheartedly no.
They're doing 2 nights, I think, with this.
Was it yesterday and today?
Yeah, from what I heard, because I saw Cardona cutting a promo about something, and I was like, oh, that was last night.
Oh, so Chelsea said something on Twitter, which now must have something negative must have happened to her then yesterday.
Well, she's a free agent, I read today.
Well, she's been a free agent, hasn't she?
Not like that. It sounds like she could go somewhere type free agent, but I wouldn't mind. But no, Cardona lost to some nobody, and that's what he's all pissed off about. So
that might be what her tweet was about. I couldn't figure it out. But I totally forgot that this weekend they have their...
But not to distract you from what you're trying to do here, you make me want to get my old magazines out for damn sure. Dude, I do have like 2 or 3 of them left, and I still have my IWA application as well, which was the Imaginary Wrestling Association, which is my first EFED back in, I think it was 83. 83 or 84. So you were talking 86. Yeah, I was knee deep in it already.
Yeah, I've got like 6 boxes of these things, and I was just going through the closet looking for something else, and I pulled the boxes down. But every time I bring the boxes down, I go through them a little bit for old time's sake, and I was like, you know what? It'd be fun to put this up on the stream and show it to people. And then we just turned it into a game in the first stream about, trying to fill in the blanks. For example, we were on the most hated, and we're down to the top 3 most hated for January of 86. You want to take a wild guess who number 3 is?
Most hated, 83.
WCCW.
The Dingo Warrior. He was a fan favorite.
Yeah, I was going to say most of the time he was a fan favorite. He came in as a heel, but didn't last long.
The Freebirds were down there, so I don't know if they ever be on that list. I mean, it was... Most I remember is Von Erichs and Freebird when you're talking world class. And those rankings were my favorite thing back in those old magazines.
Exactly.
The results as well, because you don't know what happened at all these shows because there was no internet.
Yep. And that's what we were doing. So anyway, it was Chris Adams was the number 3 most hated person for that month. Number 2 was a WWF standout. Again, January of 86. Most hated from the WWF.
Oh, this is overall most hated from all the companies.
Yes. They have one list adapter, I guess, put together.
I can't remember what I ate for dinner yesterday, let alone what happened in 1986.
Dookie's guessing King Kong Bundy, which is a good guess, but it's not the right answer. Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Ooh, Piper.
The Hot Rod.
Was Bundy part of like Paul Jones' army and stuff back in then, maybe, or something?
No, Bundy was in WWF at that point because he was getting ready to go to Mania 2 as the main event.
That's one thing I always think of. Like Paul Jones always had that crew of crazy characters back in the day.
He never had a crew that wasn't crazy characters, that's for sure.
True.
Number 1 most hated from the NWA.
Flair.
No, but you're not way off.
Tully or Arn? No. J.J. Dillon.
Tully Blanchard.
Tully. Wow.
Tully was the most hated, according to the book.
That was so great about the Horsemen back then, though. You could love them and hate them.
I just loved them, man. I thought they were great. And Keith O'Toole had it. Number 1 is Blanchard.
Blanchard, yeah.
Dookie had Tully. Look at this. We got a smart crowd out there. Our most popular list starts with number 10, Dusty Rhodes. Damn, Dusty just cracking the top 10 barely.
See, I think of the old stuff. I think of the Bunkhouse Stampede and the Midnight Riot.
Yeah. The Bunkhouse Stampede was great till they got to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind it, having like a series of battle royals and taking all the winners to put in a cage battle royal, was a cool idea, because I think it was like during the whole Great American Bash, because the bash was like all summer long.
Right. It was at the Nassau Coliseum, and it was terrible. They had, first off, no crowd because they weren't based out of New York, and New York had almost no TV access to them to know what they were about.
See, I need a VHS player because I still have War Games, the original VHS, and the Crockett Cup VHS. Those are two of my favorites from back then.
With the old clamshell cover.
Oh, yeah.
Still got mine, too, man. I remember when it got delivered to the door of the house that I'm in now.
I'd love to see a Crockett Cup today like that one. Not like a match this week and one next week. I'm talking you might fight 3 times on Saturday and 2 in the semifinals and finals on Sunday.
And they can definitely make that happen nowadays with the partnership with other organizations, with Ring of Honor, with AEW, NWA, Impact.
Tony loves tournaments, so.
He's funny, though.
It could be another one.
McDaniel was number 9. Sergeant Slaughter was number 8. Ricky Steamboat was 7. 6 was the Junkyard Dog. Number 5 was Kevin Von Erich. 4 was Terry Taylor. Who do you think the 3rd most popular guy was in 86? WWF.
I don't think that Hogan would be probably 1 or 2. So I don't want to think him. 86, man. You make me want to Google it and stuff just to have an idea, because I don't even know. I can't think.
Paul Orndorff.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful, yes, indeed.
After Mania, yeah. And he was being groomed to come up. And Hogan was out at that point in time. That's why they were pushing Orndorff so much. He was kind of like, I don't know if he was dealing with an injury or doing a movie or something, but he was he would do like a Saturday Night Main Event kind of thing, but you didn't see him regularly for a little while.
Jake Snake's a good shout by One King.
Yeah, I don't think he had turned babyface yet, though. He didn't make the list for top 10, actually, in either category, surprisingly.
Andre, maybe? That's Dookie says Andre.
Yeah. Let's see. No? So we're on number 2 now, and I'll give you guys a hint. It's WCCW again. So we're out of Texas.
Another Von Erich? Kerry?
Kerry Von Erich is correct. Number 2. And at number 1 from the NWA. Most popular, 86 January from the NWA.
Well, if Blanchard was most hated, Flair, well, they were at odds and together over the years, too, so it's not Flair, I don't think.
No, they were both horsemen at that time.
Yeah.
One King is guessing the Texas Tornado, which is good for the number 2 shot.
Luger. Is it Luger?
Keith also thinks it's Luger, and it is not. It is Magnum TA.
Magnum T before the accident, yeah.
Right before, literally.
Imagine the career that guy could have had without that injury.
Every time I see a picture of him, I think that how many world title runs would he have had? He would have gone to WWF. You know, even he says eventually he would have. Flair acknowledges he would have.
To use Luger's moniker, TA did have the total package, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, his in-ring work was spectacular.
Unique moves. No one did a belly-to-belly like him.
And they were realistic moves, too. I mean, it wasn't this, gorilla press overhead kind of thing that you'd never see in a real thing. But if some guy comes charging at you, you could leverage him up and over and slam him down to the mat. And Walter Johnson checking in to say that Magnum is a great wrestler. Yes, he is. All right, that leads us to the top 20 overall, just overall performance. So top 20. At number 20, we got the one-man gang, followed by Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at 19, King Kong Bundy's at 18, Gino Hernandez at 17, Chris Adams is at 16, Greg Gagne is at 15. Okay about that, I guess.
They had to get an AWA guy in there.
Yeah, but not ahead of some of those other names, I don't think.
No.
Number 14, we got Butch Reed. Number 13, we got Bockwinkel. Number 12, Larry Zbyszko over Bockwinkel, who would have been champion, I think, at that point. Yeah. That's kind of odd booking. Black Bart at 11. Black Bart came ahead of Nick Bockwinkel and Larry Zbyszko. Let that settle in for a minute.
Speaking of Fernandez, I always liked the Raging Bull. Manny Fernandez was one of my favorites back then.
Hell yeah. And I didn't like them at the time, but when he was with Rick Rude and took the titles from the Rock and Roll Express, in hindsight, looking back now, I should have appreciated them more because they were a really good tag team.
I just missed the Rock and Roll Express. Were at a local show here last night I was supposed to go to. The guys from my podcast worked that show, and I didn't get to go, but the Rock and Roll Express did work a match last night. I know they're nothing like they used to do. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was done because Ricky's kid's been filling in all the time.
Yep. From what I understand, Ricky will do most of the work because of that reason. But, yeah, it was both of them that were in a tag match. So I haven't heard from my buddies yet on how it went down.
Robert's got to be how old now? Almost 60, at least?
Anybody who wrestled in the 80s and still wrestling now,
yeah,
kudos to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to walk.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, Mark Henry, who would have thunk it? I didn't know how bad off he is.
No, I was hoping that he would get like a match or two, specialty match at some point. But yeah, I've heard the same thing. He's done.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be in a lot of pain in general. And it's like, yeah, he's a big guy, but he wasn't like an aerialist or anything. He was kind of low to the ground. So you would normally think that you wouldn't take the same type of bumps and have the same.
Hey, all you got to do now is say, it looks like there's enough talk. It's time for the main event. If he can say that, he's good.
It does, and he does it with a smile. It's like every time I see him doing it, it's like, man's probably in a lot of pain right now, and you wouldn't know to look at him.
I didn't mind Paul White, Big Show, on commentary when he started on Dark Elevation, too. He was kind of funny. He had little digs here and there and very knowledgeable.
He has a good voice, too, for it.
Yeah, I didn't mind him at all. I always thought he had such a character when he wanted to be funny, like outside of the ring. They didn't use that enough. They were too bad heel turning, face turning him in WWE all the time.
Is he still doing play-by-play?
I just looked up because we did a special on my podcast last week about commentators over the years from the past and now. And when I looked up current commentators, Paul White was not on the list for AEW anymore. And I'm like, maybe I got a wrong list because I know he started there, but I haven't been watching Elevation enough to know if he's still doing it. I sure hope so.
I haven't heard of his voice, or I haven't heard of him being part of the show anymore. Or
that's another one I thought might get one more match or two, a specialty match if it came along at some point.
Well, he did do an Elevation when they were here in Orlando about a year ago. He did the broadcast, and then he was the last match. He just kind of came out from behind the table, and it was like, what? They acted all surprised, like, what are you doing? Where are you going?
I thought they were going to do the Shaq thing with him when they had Shaq there for that one match or whatever. Like, we're finally going to get Shaq and Big Show, but.
Yeah, they bobble that one too. Shaq's looking pretty good, man. He's been doing whatever ginseng diet thing there is out there nowadays that he's promoting it and all that. But man, he's ripped.
Unbelievable. Good for him, especially how huge he is.
He is a monster, man. When he played here in Orlando, we had season tickets, and we get there extra early for shoot around and stuff, and sneak down to the courtside area, which we weren't supposed to be because we didn't have floor seats. But we had a whole distraction game set up, so it worked out well. And I remember one day I'm down there watching them all shoot around. You got Nick Anderson, Hardaway, and the rest of them shooting. I'm like, where the hell is Shaq? Turns out he was coming out of the tunnel right behind me.
Oh, wow.
And the way I describe it, and it's the truth, I felt the weight of his shadow. Because there was literally like something pressing on me, and I look over my shoulder, and this man is huge. And I almost fell. It was like Andre the Giant 2.0.
I've seen Big Show and Kevin Nash up close in my little strip club story from when I went to after a Thunder in Fort Wayne, Indiana. But to imagine those two and think of someone that's bigger than them, that's tough to imagine. I don't know. Big Show and Shaq are probably about the same. I think Shaq might be a little bigger. I don't know. They're both ginormous individuals that are just sick. And I'm 6'3", and I'm looking up to people like that. It's crazy.
I'm saying, when I went to see Impact over here not too long ago, I was amazed. Like Joe Doring, it's a monster. He is huge.
See him up close. It's a whole different ballpark when you get to finally see him up close.
TV does not justify it.
No, it doesn't.
Massive. Friggin' Heath Slater. Heath Slater is, damn. I'm 6 foot. I'm guessing he's 6'4". But
he got a little more ripped when he left too. When he showed up on, what was it, Impact? He first showed up on. I was like, man, why does he look like jacked a little more than he was before? Like,
trying to get a dig back at them for letting them go, man.
Yeah,
could have had this.
Buddy Murphy too. Buddy Murphy now is like all upper body. Is like,
yeah.
He looked that big when he was back then. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, but Buddy's also around a lot of small guys now.
Yeah, true.
That'll make you look bigger.
Him and Pac are both like so upper, but not that they're missing leg day by any means, but their upper body's just unreal.
Walter Johnson saying that Ricky and Robert should be managers. I don't see them as managers. Ricky, maybe. Robert was never like big for the stick.
See, I said this, and it's a different story with Ric Flair because of all of his health things for him to have a fight. But if you're a pro wrestler and that's what you've done for 20, 30 years, there ain't too many people are going to tell you can't if you physically can do a couple moves. And that, sure. I mean, kudos to people like Ricky and Robert to still do a match, even if it's just a couple moves.
Hell, they were the tag team champions a year and a half ago.
Yep, that's right.
Before COVID, 2 years ago, right. Maybe, but still, who would have thunk that? Let's say, Dookie, those Magic teams were good. Yeah, they were good, just not good enough.
I remember the Nick Anderson days and the Penny Hardaway days. I got my Penny Hardaway back here somewhere as my Magic jersey. He was one of my favorites.
He was my girlfriend's favorite, and I had Shaq, so we were the Shaq and Penny. She wore his jersey, I wore the Shaq jersey. But, man, you talk about Nick Anderson, we make it to the finals, and game one's in Orlando. We are up by 3 with less than a minute to go. They have to foul us, Houston. Anderson going to the line. This is over. We're going to be up by 5. They don't have enough time.
I do remember this.
He misses 4 consecutive free throws. We lose the game in overtime.
One of the best pure shooters of the time. It can happen to anybody. Put him on the line, pressure,
But he never came back from it.
No, it was like the end of him as he fell off a cliff after that. And it's a shame because not too often do you have the trifecta, the great shooter, the good point guard, the scoring good point guard, and the big guy.
And defender.
Yeah, they had a little bit of everything, man. And depth.
Yeah. I mean, Nick was the one that stripped MJ of the ball when they eliminated Chicago. That last rush at Michael's coming up the court, and then from behind, Nick come out and just take it right away from him.
Yeah, you got it right.
You got Walter saying, "Go Steelers, baby."
Wally's from, he's not from my area. I don't know who he won't tell me where he's from. I can't get any idea about Wally. He has no social media. He might be the only person on the planet that has no social media. Still love him. Great supporter. Great dude. Just I dig into him sometimes. Like, dude, I'm going to create a Twitter for you called Walter Johnson. It'll be me, but you'll finally have social media, my friend.
He might be in the witness protection program or something like that.
Hey, to each his own. I don't argue.
Sorry to change the subject, but my wife farted on me. I'm sorry about that, AWF.
Big Tito, my friend. He's not far from me at all. I can almost smell your wife's fart. You're so close to me. They're tall. Kevin Nash and Paul White. Yes, they are. Tall is not even the word. Just huge.
Massive.
Because I've seen a lot of tall people, but when they're like this wide too, like my story was that Big Show was sitting on 2 chairs with a stripper on each knee. I mean, his back was literally wider than 2 chairs. It's like, well, there's no argument on who that guy is sitting over there.
Ancient Clown says, I'm with Walter.
He's not a tweeter, a Twitter.
I don't tweet a tweet either. Who are the tag team champions and singles in Florida Championship Wrestling? This magazine doesn't have that much depth to it like PWI does. So literally all I've got is the top 20 at this point.
PWI Wrestling All-Stars. There was a couple of them that got a little more in depth, but yeah. I like the variety, like all the different ones. I didn't just pick one. I mean, if you wanted one, PWI was the one to go to because it had the most stuff.
Exactly. Now this one has a ton more of color photography in it, so.
And most of them had a poster in the middle. Some of them had collector cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, this had the Fabulous Freebirds as the centerfold, the original Fabulous Freebirds, wearing their Bad Street USA shirts. Let's see. Rick Martel was the AWA champion. Flair was the NWA world champion. Hogan, of course, was the WWF. Carlos Colon was the Universal champion. That they mentioned. And then in our top 20, I think we got up to number 9 was Sergeant Slaughter. Number 8 was the Magnificent Muraco. 7 was Kevin Von Erich. 6 was Roddy Piper. Number 5 was Macho Man Randy Savage. Was he already a babyface? Seemed early. Okay. Number 4, Wahoo McDaniel. Number 3, Kerry Von Erich. Number 2, wait a minute. Oh, this is the overall top 20. In other words, performance top 20, not popular or anything like that. That's because I was about to get confused here. Number 2 was Magnum TA. And who do you think the number 1
overall?
Overall, obviously not a world champion because they got the world champion separate.
Oh, that's right. Dusty?
So
Dusty?
No, Dusty was way down there, number whatever he was.
Oh, yeah, you did mention it. You said Flair, Hogan, Carlos Colon, and Martel were the champs.
Right, so they're not in the top 20. See, NWA.
NWA. It's Sting already? No.
Nope.
No clue. I'll be like, oh yeah, when you say it, of course. I'll be like, of course.
Tully Blanchard.
Wow. Oh well, that's true. He didn't have a world title, but he was also you had him one on the most hated list as well.
Yeah, that's what threw me for a minute too. And then I was like, oh wait a minute, this is the top 20 overalls.
I love the list. I'm a big list guy, so that's
big time. And out of all these that I've gone through so far, like I said, I just pick a random one out of the box, and that's the one I'm going to go with. But so far, I haven't picked one yet that has the pro wrestling game in it that we've been playing. The board game.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought for sure I'd have that ad by now popping up so I could take a shot of that.
Yeah, I have to find my box because I don't know if it's the same brand, but I had a VHS game.
I had that. WWF, and there was one for Gordon Soley, but I never got it.
It wasn't a WWF one I have. I have it somewhere. You're going to make me go grab that bin out of the basement. I'm going to make me grab that bin. But I just had it out for a podcast, and as soon as I put it away, I'm like, now I want to look at it again.
And that was a board game with a VHS?
Yeah, it was one little board game, and you watched a video clip. If you selected certain thing, you'd watch the video clip. And it would be a move or whatever to tell you to move your guy so many pieces or whatever.
Yeah, it was similar. I don't remember the WWF one, and I'm surprised I still have the VHS somewhere. And I guess I got rid of the game part of it. I think I might have used it twice ever. Of course, in hindsight, it's like, dumbass, should have kept that.
Yeah, I know. As much junk that I do keep, there are some things I'm like, man, I should have kept that.
Do tell. The
Especially
caves.
Like my Jordan rookie cards that I don't have. Touchy subject.
You have.
I had 3 of them and a whole set, and they're all 6 figures now. They're all over 100,000 a piece, even not mint. But I rationalized it because when I was a teenager, I went to flea markets and stuff and sold cards every Sunday.
Okay.
So I bought a box of cards for $10. I sold one card out of that box for $100. So I sold my Jordan for $100. So I like nowadays, but the cards I played with my cards so that none of them were in perfect condition. And nowadays, if you don't get it graded, if it's not perfect, it's worth so much less. So I mean, I had an uncle that gave me a bunch of Manals and Mays cards from the 60s and some late 50s. And they weren't in great condition either, but I sold a good bit of those and kept a couple. He had a big box and he goes, hey, any you see 2 or 3 of any cards in there, take them. And I'm like, really? This is a Mickey Mantle from 1968. You sure you're just going to give it to me? He's like, take it. It's like, okay. But
my heartbreaker is I had the 1976, I guess it would have been, Star Wars from Kenner.
Ooh.
The original line of figures. I still have them. If you remember that line of figures, I don't know if you collected those back then. They had, like with Luke and Vader and Obi-Wan, they had the lightsaber was kind of inside the arm, and as you would slide, oh, well, there you have it.
Got my Luke still.
Yeah, so let me see the tip of that lightsaber.
You want to see the tip of my lightsaber?
Yeah, I'd like to. Everybody else look away. Okay, so you remember it had that little tiny stick that would go on further up? It was
I'd probably chewed it off or had a
exactly, and that kills it.
Yeah, you can see it's all dirty and losing some color.
None of that would matter if you still had that little tip. I cut it off on mine because I thought it looked stupid.
Yeah, the lightsabers didn't have a tip.
Right, and it was like an extra inch long, and it was super thin and flimsy, and I just thought it looked dumb as hell, so I cut it off. If I hadn't have done that, that thing would be worth over $1,000 today.
Yeah.
Opened it out of the box, the whole 9.
Yep. I still got my Jabba the Hutt back there and a couple other ones.
I've got all of the original guys, the original Han Solo before they gave him better looking hair.
I got the
and he was really small too. His head was like super small. I got the Chewbacca, R2, C-3PO, Leia, Luke. I even had the Jawa. Which one was the hot Jawa to get? The one with the vinyl cape or the one with the cloth?
I remember
I had both.
I had a little cloth one.
Yeah, I think the vinyl was the one that is like uber collectible, and I had that. And I didn't like the vinyl. I thought it looked stupid.
You got hockey cards in the chat. Tom had hockey cards. Painting Clown had hockey cards. No, I didn't have any wrestling buddies.
I got one for Wayne Gretzky.
But there was we talked about this story on my podcast the other night. There was a local show, and Wardlow showed up.
No kidding.
He showed up unannounced and answered a open challenge. It was called Pressure Luck. You remember the game Pressure Luck, the board game, the TV show Pressure Luck?
Yeah,
no whammies,
ran
no
around
whammies.
The perimeter, and then you'd hit the button.
So they had a wrestling card based off of that. It was Revenge Pro in Erie, Pennsylvania, where the wrestlers don't have stipulations. They would press the button for their stipulation for their match or their opponent. And at the end, someone had an open challenge, and my friend Doc is an announcer, and he goes, literally the guy next to me 2 seconds before he came out goes, Wardlow may or may not be here. And the next thing you know, he comes out because he used to fight in Revenge Pro, and a huge pop. And he technically defended the TNT title that night.
Wow.
But when he talked to him afterwards, he's like, I'll probably get in trouble for what I did tonight, but I don't really care.
In my mind, you're saying this, and I'm like, Tony's letting this guy just go out
I think he just did it on his own, but they had pictures of him and everything hanging out. But the wrestling buddy story was there's a woman wrestler called Lady Frost. I think she's Impact right now. Well, Lady Frost was there too because they do indie stuff. Lady Frost was there selling wrestling buddies of Lady Frost. And there was this little girl standing in front of her table that couldn't afford to buy one, couldn't buy one. Wardlow went over, gave her money, and bought the little kid a wrestling buddy of Lady Frost. And that made all kind of news. Like, he didn't have to do that. And the people that talked to Wardlow, my friend CJ and Doctor, like, he didn't want any publicity. He didn't want anybody to know he was there or did that. But it made news everywhere because that was a amazing gesture.
Yeah.
You know,
little things like that. But kids like that will remember that forever.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine?
She'll have that doll 20 years from now.
Yep. my one friend was like, why didn't Lady Frost buy the little kid one? I was like, well, if you're behind the table selling stuff and this little unfortunate girl wants one, you give her one, then all the unfortunate kids are going to want one.
Please, can I have more?
And then you don't make it. Tom Hood, the bad thing about hockey cards is they're not as valuable as the football and basketball from back then. Because I had the Yoggers and Lemieux. I had Yoggers, Lemieux from back then because I was a Penguin fan.
Yep.
They're not worth nothing. Now, a Gretzky rookie, that's a different story.
Yeah, well, Gretzky's Gretzky. And that's the other thing, too. I have a ton of starting lineup figures.
Me
Football,
too.
Hockey, basketball.
Whole shelf down there of starting lineups. They're all out of the box. I have some still in the box behind there.
I got a ton of them in the box because
if you don't keep them in plastic or something, they get yellow. Like all the plastic's yellow, and I'm like cracked. I'm like, this ain't gonna be worth nothing. Then I go and Google, go to eBay, and I'm like, my Don Mattingly from '86 or '88. I'm sorry, it's only $20 on eBay. So I'm like, well, what am I saving this for? Because I was a big Mattingly fan.
They just had a Comic-Con type event at my place that I work at, and I was talking to them. They were selling some cards and the pop vinyls they were selling, and some of them were getting ridiculous. I was trying to get some Better Call Saul stuff because the show just went off the air, and I thought, get a Saul Goodman. Couldn't find one, and then they had one that was open, and it was from the Breaking Bad run, and apparently that thing's worth like $50 to $100 even out of the box. I'm like, well, I'm not looking to get that one. That I don't need too much. But she was telling me that at the Lakeland show they did the week earlier was more along the lines of cards, and I mentioned the starting lineups. She's like, dude, I'm telling you right now, they're back because baseball cards apparently are a thing again. And I mean, people are collecting seriously again baseball cards.
I don't want to think COVID did anything good, but that's what boomed the sports card market again.
You think so?
Yes, I know for a fact. My friends that run a grading company, they went from Pittsburgh to LA because when that boom started, it put all these people back in their homes finding stuff to do. And next thing you know, all these channels on YouTube for cards started popping up. More shows started popping up. Once COVID slowed down, people could go back out. Cards online blew up because of COVID. Like that business was extraordinary, and that's what brought it back.
Yeah, well,
but it's fallen off a lot.
Kept giving everybody $2,000 to spend.
2 years, yeah, exactly. 2 years ago, if you had LeBron rookies, they were worth an enormous amount of money. Now they've totally fell off, along with a lot of the other stuff. But me, I don't give a crap if the card has an orange, sparkly background. Back in the day, it's MVPs, rookies, those were worth money if they perform. Now it's the rarity of the card, or if there's a piece of their bat, or a piece of a ball, or a piece of... I don't care. Autographs. If I'm there to get the autograph, that means a lot to me. Otherwise, I don't really care about autographs. I'm old school when it comes to collecting cards. I set up my baseball cards and played with them on a field with books I played with them. I mean, kids put them in spokes of their bikes.
I was just going to say, you're playing with them, man. They were on my bicycle.
Yeah. I mean, they were, and that actually helps the value of cards because the more people that mess them up, then the less there are, because there's pop reports now, because if you have a Jordan rookie and it's graded a 9 and there are 1 million 9s, but you have an 8.5 and there's only 100,000 8.5s, that 8.5 is worth more than a 9 because it's rarer. And it's like, it's making my head hurt. I just want to collect my favorite players. So I have so many cards. I need to get my eBay going and start getting rid of them because I don't have any kids to give them to. So they're just going to rot here. This piece of cardboard for me. I mean, I'm looking at upgrading some more stuff. I need a capture card so I can stream my PlayStation from my PC now that I have a PC that's strong enough. And those Elgato capture cards are $150 to $200.
Yeah. I tell you what, I thought mine crapped out last week. It turned out with something else, but I was like, shit. I couldn't remember how much I paid for it, so let me go online real quick. I was like, oh, damn, that much?
I mean, there's used ones. You can always get the last version, the used ones, for less than 100. And I'm looking, I don't know if you've ever seen the Stream Decks.
Yeah.
Where they have all the different buttons for the Pro. I do so many different things. I'd love to have one of those. So that's another thing I'm saving up for. As soon as you get caught up as a content creator, you find something new you want to do.
I think Dennis Miller said it best back in the day when he had his own TV show. He says, the problem with technology nowadays, you buy a brand new state-of-the-art computer and it's pretty much Jurassic Park by the time you get it to your car.
Yeah. When I sold computers, we used that old car lot analogy. As soon as you drive the car off, the depreciation is huge because 6 months from now, I mean, there was when I sold computers in the year 2000, 1 gig hard drive was, you're never going to need 1 gig of information. Never.
Well, it's like the PS5 is a 1 terabyte, and I was like, yeah, it's only got 1 terabyte.
Like if you'd have told me a terabyte when I sold computers, like, what's that? There was no such thing. But also teaching people, because it was Gateway computers. I don't know if you remember them. Gateway was the cows. You had to order them. So they were we didn't have any computers in stock. People come in and you got Joe Schmo coming off the street. What's RAM? What's hard drive space? I'm like, oh, we got to educate them too. And then I taught classes where there was literally old ladies picking their mouse up and putting it on the screen. They're like, how does this work? I'm like, oh my goodness. I need to drink before
Put it up here like this, my dear. There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can mess with people like that and have some fun. Especially the older ones. I used to mess with, if we were slow at work, I'd call my grandmother. Hi, this is Phil with AT&T. We're checking the phone lines in your area. There's been some problems. Would you mind doing me a favor? Just put your receiver down on the table, take about 10 steps back, and can you whistle? And she'd be like, I can't whistle. Because she's got fake teeth. She's like, I can't whistle. I said, well, maybe just make a noise or something like that. Hold on a minute. She put the phone down, take a step there. All right, how's that? Then she come back. That wasn't bad. Now, can you take an extra 5 steps back? Because we're just trying to make sure the decibel levels are okay. All right, hold on a minute. By the 3rd time around, it's like, fuck you, you son of a bitch.
You got me, man. You got me.
No, she still didn't know it was me. I had to call her back later.
Oh, jeez.
Let her cool down first, then call her back.
So before I take off, I am going to grab that bin to show off a couple things that I have from those magazines since you're magazining it up. So I'm going to be right back in a second.
It up. All right, man. Let's see what you got. NWA Matt Cardoza, mystery opponent, pinned him. Shocking. Who was the mystery opponent, Keith O'Toole? Because I have no idea. I'm just happy that Matt's back in the ring because I didn't know that he was done rehabbing yet. M. Night Shyamalan. Nick Shyamalan. Ah, I gotcha. That was pretty smooth. Smooth realism. Doing good, man. Thanks for being here. So, Tom, the WWF magazines, I got pretty much, well, I've got all of them for like the first 4 years. Then I kind of stopped collecting, and then I got the last issue as well. So, going back before the very first ever WWF magazine, there was a thing called WWF Victory magazine. And I even got that. So we're going to probably do a special one of these shows just for the WWF magazine and go through maybe the first year's worth. The covers are all gold.
I love using the analogy for YouTube with magazines because people are they make it so difficult to subscribe. And I'm like, remember, back in the day, there was things called magazines.
Yes.
If you liked them, you subscribed to them and got more of them.
How simple an idea was that? Which one is that? Oh, I got that. Yep.
1000th issue from Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Sports Review Wrestling.
I most likely have that one. That's a year end.
Yeah, I loved all the year in review ones because you got
anything
so much
I ever
information.
saw with year end, I got. So chances are
All-Star.
Yep.
WrestleMania 4. And our sports review. Dusty was one of my favorites. I just love Dusty.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if I have that one or not.
Now, do you remember these things?
Was that what you got when you went to the matches?
Yeah, well, I ended up subscribing and getting them shipped to me too.
But it's a smaller version.
Yeah, these Pro Wrestling Digests were mostly stories and a couple little, here's what happened on this match card, Music City Showdown, Wrestle War 89.
Nice.
But it was all black and white print, kind of like a miniature version of a full magazine.
No, I never saw one of those. That's pretty cool.
This is IWA. Here's my sign-up sheet to become a E-Feder. Pick your moves. And now I stand corrected. It's this game. All-Star Wrestling Power Slam VCR game.
Oh, it's from the AWA.
Yeah.
So it's probably very similar to the WWF version. I just don't remember it very well.
Yeah, it came with the board, the VHS, and then a bunch of weird cards that have like moves on them and stuff.
That's kind of what I recall. I can't believe I would have thrown that away. I mean, I know I did.
Even the animation on these are funny.
Jeez Louise.
So they have a bunch of move cards. Suplex, go for the pin.
Nice.
That's old school, man. I remember it was. I just didn't know what it was game wise, but it's not what I thought it was. Yeah, more Wrestling All Stars.
That's a good shot of Flair.
Yeah. And then when I went to the shows, of course, this is from a Great American Bash. This is
I still have the program from WrestleMania, the very first WrestleMania.
Start 87.
What is that now? Is that a poster or is that a...
Yeah, this was an insert in a magazine, I believe. From like when you go to the show that year, because there was Bash, Crockett Cup, and Bunkhouse Stampede that year. So this was just an insert from the actual program.
I like Chi-Town Heat. I thought that's probably a little bit underrated.
Of course, I had to save this advertisement.
Oh my God, the ice cream bars.
And when they brought them back, they were not the same.
Well, remember when CM Punk cut that promo and look at this, I just made you another $3 million in ice cream bars. Do I get thank you?
So most of these I just got like the cover. I don't have the whole magazine anymore, but at least I saved some of it.
Well, you got something anyway. It would be good. You could frame those, man. Put like several in a frame, like 3 side by side or something like that.
They're all my favorites: Flair, Sting, Dusty. So I've kept the ones that were my favorites. Oh, here's the final.
I mean, the covers is what got you to buy it. I mean, they did have some stuff inside too, but it was the artwork that sold it.
Sometimes a poster, if there's a good poster in there I wanted, would sell it. Like there's a good one there, a Macho Man and Elizabeth.
That is a good one. Man, it's so sad the way she went out.
I know. I actually got to meet her once at one of the shows, which later in her career, she was at a table at a show. But like you always say, and you're pointing out, the lists and the match cards are definitely the highlights of these things.
Yeah, man.
I did not know.
There was no other way to know.
World Class Wrestling had a triple cage match?
That's where they got the idea from in WCW.
Oh, wow.
God knows how they constructed that damn thing back then.
I would hate to be in that top one.
I remember back in the day in the Garden, if they had a steel cage match, it was like a 25-minute intermission to get the 4 walls up. That must have been like a deal breaker there.
Yeah, nowadays, just lower it, hook it up.
Yep.
So, yeah, you really taking me back with these.
Well, that's what we do here on this channel.
Reminisce. It's like a time machine.
It is, and that's why I can't get rid of them. Every day, it's like when I look at that, there's so much space being occupied up there, and these boxes are heavy as fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like the shelf is about 5.5 feet high, and I'm like maneuvering this box out, and it's not even just the weight of the box. The box is, I guess, a little bit old at this point in time, too. It's been up there forever. And it starts to like buckle in the middle and it's like smooshing side to side as the magazines are shifting. It really isn't like they say in wrestling when you scoop slamming a guy. It's not barbell weight, it's moving around. It's same thing with these magazines. And
this was our internet. This is our timeline. This is our dirt sheets. Yeah, you got information a month later.
If you were lucky, the one we did last week was 4 months behind.
Yeah, that's. Well, what can you do? The production back then of a magazine wasn't quick. There weren't computers as much. They had the presses, and as soon as they get the information, filling out. So I can make sense of it, but think about that nowadays with instant gratification. Having one of these in your pocket to tell someone you're not going to find out about what happened on this show until next month.
Yeah, I mean, here I am finding out about things that happened in NWA last night that I didn't watch, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but nowadays you miss a show. If you even open Twitter, you're going to know what happened on some of them if you're following the right people.
I'm doing the wrong thing, too, because I'll record these shows, like Impact on Thursdays. I record it so I can skip through the commercials. And I make the mistake of bouncing over to Twitter real quick, and they're showing, like, the ending of the match. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yep. Yeah, it's, like, really hard because I got some people, because since I'm doing reviews and stuff now, they're like, oh, I don't want spoilers. And I was like, well, don't open social media at all until you watch it then.
Don't want spoilers, you probably don't go to a wrestling channel.
Yeah.
What do you think we were gonna do? That's like when the girl says, I don't want that to come in my mouth. What do you think? It was going to be a ham sandwich?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Walter says, Ready to Rumble, good movie. It's grown well over the years. I didn't like it so much on release, but watching it about 2 or 3 months ago. By the way, what's the actor's name that played the king in that Royal Rumble, Ready to Rumble? He's, I guess, having some really tough health issues right now. I think Tiny Dallas Page tweeted out a picture of him in the hospital with some wires, but he had the thumbs up going on. Still looks exactly the same. Can't remember his name, but he's been in a few other movies, but that's the one that I automatically will always think of him from. Tom says, if only I knew how much those things would be worth, I would have kept my old wrestling stuff. I don't know. It's like the magazines. I don't think they've really... What do you think any of those magazines would sell for today? Like the 100th issue, for example.
I don't
know.
$10
maybe?
PWI 100th issue.
Yeah, what were we guessing?
There's a 100th issue and 2 other magazines for $40 on eBay. $28 for the 100th issue and another one.
That's not bad. I mean, that's what they're asking if you get it.
Yeah, I go to the sold items to really find out.
Exactly.
$24.99 one of those 100 issues sold for. 15 they sold for, 13 it sold for.
All right, well, I guess there is a little bit of value to it.
And they were only a couple bucks back then.
Exactly, unless you're in Canada, then yeah.
But to me, $20, it means a lot more in my possession now. If it's 50 or 100, that's a different story. But for $20,
everyone's got a price.
For $20, and then you're talking about shipping and all that stuff. I'm like, to make $20 out of something that has that many memories, especially if you have the whole book, you can page through like you're doing and really reminisce.
Yeah. Tom says everything is on the internet now. There's no more magazines. There's no more newspapers. There's no more. And here's the other problem, though. He still had it with newspapers, I'm sure, as well. But a lot of the information we're getting on the internet isn't necessarily the most accurate information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hoodwinking going on. Wrestling Purist joining us. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. Hope you are as well.
Ready to Rumble. David Arquette. Rose McGowan, Oliver Platt.
Oliver
Platt. Oh, he's the one.
Yeah, he's like I said, he's having some sort of hell. I don't know what is wrong exactly.
Jimmy King, yes, okay.
Jimmy King, there we go.
Yeah.
So that was a great role. It was fun. It was a good movie. It's really bad, but so bad it's good. It's got David Arquette. I mean, what do you expect it to be?
I looked at it as how many wrestling movies were there, so I was just happy to have one. I didn't get that picky when it came down to it. You know, I'm like, yeah, you can nitpick and say how terrible and corny it was, but so were a lot of movies back then.
You know what? We're gonna have to get together and do one on wrestling movies.
Yeah. Another guy who's not doing good is what's his name? NFL Mongo McMichael. I've seen a picture of him. You can't even tell it's him.
Yeah, I heard.
Doesn't even look like him, dude. It's so sad.
It is, because he was and I'll tell you what, you talk about these NFL guys or whatever, these other people that go into wrestling, he did good.
Yeah.
His work was good. His promos were good.
I mean, you see Luger, and he's all, he's not as muscular at all anymore, but you see Mongo, and it just doesn't even look like him at all.
What happened? Do we know what happened? I mean,
I do not know. I didn't. But I know the last time I saw him, it's just like he's in a bed, and you can't even tell it's him.
I mean, 25 years ago, somebody would have told you that in 25 years, either Mongo or Ric Flair is going to have a match. Would you have picked Flair?
ALS is what my Mongo has.
What's ALS?
What it stands for. Remember they were doing the bucket challenge for ALS back in the day?
Oh, yeah, because like your body like feels super sensational.
ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. That's what it's called.
Oh, hell.
Yeah, he's all emaciated and, face is all sunk in. But here's the weird thing, that the little that he could say or anything, he seemed like he was in good spirits. So I'm like, God bless him, for someone who used to be a huge football player, pro wrestler, and now to look like that, to still be in good spirits, be happy to be alive.
Wow.
It happened to anybody, right?
Yeah, that's the reality check. A lot of people take today for granted. or tomorrow for granted more accurately.
Okay, so Tom just said Luger's lost a lot of weight, but he's got a great attitude. Yeah, I mean that's.
He even says that the bio they did on him for A&E a few weeks ago. He's like, I really wish I had the attitude that I have today, back when I was wrestling. I was an ass.
Yeah.
You know, I got a chance to meet him. Me and my girlfriend had a friend who was working security during the Great American Bash here in Orlando at the Orange County Civic Center. So we got backstage, got to meet Flair, Luger, Foley back when he was Cactus. And Luger was just coming in from the parking lot. He had his little tote bag with him and all that. And there was me, my girlfriend, and some little kid who was probably about 10 years old. This kid was obnoxious as hell, just like throws a picture into his chest practically while he's walking with his bag. And you could just see the look of the stain on his face. And I'm like, this kid's going to fuck it up for us.
Yep. And I can just imagine the stories as professional athletes in general have. Can't go anywhere.
Age, you know, it's like he's expecting not to be bothered yet.
True.
And this kid's handing him a Sharpie. It's like Luger looks at him with his hands full, right? Luger looks at the kid. Do you think you could take the cap off? And I took the pen out of the kid's hand, took the cap off, stuck it on the backhand, and handed it to him. Sorry about that, sir. It wasn't even my kid. Nothing to do with me, but I just...
Surprised there's not more like MJF when he's signing stuff, just giving kids the finger and telling them to screw off and staying in character. The one thing I did hear Luger say, though, if he gets inducted to the Hall of Fame, he wants to walk on the stage. Like, he literally, that's his goal. He's like, I want to take a couple steps on the stage on my own. Like, I don't know how bad he is, but apparently that's a goal of his to get to if he can get that.
I was going to say, I thought he was kind of like bound to the wheelchair because he's got one of those heavy-duty guys with the joystick and everything else.
Yeah. So his dream is, if he gets inducted, to be able to take a step or two towards the podium.
How is he not in the Hall of Fame, for the love of God? They put him in a video game.
Yeah, right. I don't know. A lot of those guys who weren't born and bred WWF, I guess it's a little harder. Oh, how long was he actually in that company? I mean, was he in WWE for that long, or F?
3 years.
Yeah.
He had a 3-year contract, I believe, and he should have been the world champion. I don't know how they let that happen, not that botch job at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
freaking count out.
He literally had the total package. He really did.
They just didn't book him right. What else is new? I mean, you do this whole, and again, that bio was such a great job they did on A&E about the Lex Express, because he's
heard a lot of good things about those A&E things. I haven't seen any of them yet.
Good. But he was very open about it. I hated it. Now I'm a different person, but back then I wasn't a people person. I didn't want to hold babies. I didn't want to go into living on a bus on my family. He's just not a happy camper, and apparently, I guess he said a few things and to handlers, and that got back up the corporate ladder. And this is not the guy, man. You can't put your belt on him.
That's why, even back in the day, who said it? Charles Barkley. I'm not a role model. But if you're a professional athlete, you kind of have to be to a point. But if that's not your personality, I don't expect you to be if that's not your personality. Whether you're performing in front of tens of thousands of people or not, if you're not a people person, you're not going to be that friendly to people, especially when they come up to you all the time throwing pens in your face.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. You hear the stories where they're out having dinner with their significant other or their family, whatever, and these guys travel 300 days a year, so whatever time they can actually spend, and then people just walk, I don't want to bother you, but you are.
Yeah, that's why I never wanted to be that guy. If I saw someone in public, I would say it's up or hi or something, but to literally, like in that strip club, I could have bothered the hell out of those guys, but what are they going to do? It's going to tell me to piss off. I don't want to do that. Well, they always say, sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes.
Yeah.
That's why I don't care. I don't want to know about what they believe in, their religion, their politics. I don't want to know any of that about these professional athletes. Just entertain me.
Right.
When they start doing that, that's when I'm like, it's rubbed me the wrong way. Like, now, if you have an angle that has something to do with that, sure, but I don't want to know what your beliefs are outside of it. That's why getting to know these athletes too much on Twitter or some of these stuff, I don't want to know all that stuff.
Well, I'm okay with it on Twitter. Look, if you want to go on Twitter and whatever your point of view is, you want to put it out there, I have the choice of not watching you on Twitter or watching you on Twitter. But when I'm watching AEW Dynamite to get politics in the world out of my head for an hour, and you walk out with a pro-abortion T-shirt on.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
I don't want to know about the line with me, man.
But like, what gets me is like the famous people that have Twitter bios and stuff have some insignificant moron say something. Why retweet that and give them more power and let it go? But they're always seems like they're always doing that. Like, why? I'm sure abuse for so long you'd want to regurgitate or say something back, but you got to be able to bite your tongue. I don't know why they buy into like fans and like retweeting stuff that they say or bringing more light to a troll that doesn't need to be. To each his own. To each his own.
Exactly. I mean, I remember a day where we could have totally opposite opinions and still be friends.
Like all this stuff, a good example, all this stuff about Thunder Rosa that's going around. She doesn't get along with anybody in the back. She's a sweetheart from what I've known. I watch her vlogs. I've seen her interviews. She's on Busted Open. And she seems like a real genuine person, a hard worker. And now all this crap about her and Britt hate each other and all this. I don't care. I want to pay attention to what's on the show. But if it starts to mess with, the whole company and they have to have talent meetings to talk to people, then maybe you got to address it. But I don't need to know that. Like, I don't know. It's so easy. Like, she quit social media after the injury because people were bashing her so much. So Thunder Rosa's not on social media right now.
Well, I thought she got off of there because she was actually going for surgery or something like that. I thought her husband.
She has 2 bulging discs, and I have the same thing in my neck and my back. Right. So I know that could be a pain. And she's like, I'm literally in pain on a regular basis now. But people aren't talking about that because she didn't come out and say, this is my, but that's your personal, that's between you and your doctors, to be honest. But now they're making more of a deal of her being this cancer in a locker room other than, she's hurt. And then from what I heard, Britt wasn't supposed to bring up the injury in her promo, and she did.
Yeah, not only did she, but the way she did it.
Yeah.
That was kind of...
Same thing with Punk and Hangman. It's like, someone reel this in. Yes, we want people to have free promos where it looks like they're talking, not reading a script, but let's not go personal here. Yeah. Unless it's part of the angle, agreed upon. Like the Christian and Jungle Boy thing. You've talked about that. I'm sure they knew they were going to bring up each other's, his dead dad and stuff like that.
Yeah, I still didn't like it though.
No, I mean, you want heel heat is one thing, but that's just low.
Right now, and I think Cornette said it best, fans are getting burnt out on, is it a shoot or is it a work? This blurring the line is so exasperating at this point in time that the average fan is starting, I think, get turned off. I know it worked on me.
Fans know too much because of social media and stuff. We know too much. That's basically it. I mean, I don't want to know about talent meetings to try to curb 2 people that don't like each other in the back. Just put on a show. If that happens, I'm sure that happens in every business. People, you're going to be in a company that you don't. I've taught my employees all the time. You don't have to like person B. You just have to work with them.
Yeah. Nobody said go out and have a beer with them. Nobody said to go sing Kumbaya.
But it's weird, and I'm a fan of both. I don't have a favorite. I love all wrestling companies. I don't have a favorite. But as soon as Triple H and that product started getting better, now everyone's digging on AEW. Like, it totally flipped in the last 6 months.
Well, I mean, even if Vince wouldn't have left, and even if the product wouldn't have started making some changes that were long overdue, I was still... The CM Punk thing with the shirt definitely slapped me in the face. I mean, that was just, it really shook me. But I wasn't real thrilled with the product before that either. I felt like they'd taken a lot of backward steps by putting just too many people on TV that shouldn't have been on TV. You have too big a roster to get people on TV. How do you care about someone you're only going to see once a month?
Yeah, I mean, I miss the Samoa Joes and people that I want to see on a regular basis.
I was even there now that you
I mean, I think part of that is that I'm sure Tony Khan wanted to get a TV deal for ROH a while ago, but he just can't do it right now. And that was, I think, part of his game plan. Let's throw half of the roster or a third of it over in ROH for their TV show.
Sure.
So it's not really a bloated roster if you have 2 companies. But it is because we only got 2 shows.
But you know what? You get rid of Dark Elevation and you replace it with ROH. It is.
Yeah, there is 2 Dark, so you could do one for the Dark. I love the Dark because, number one, they're giving a lot of local and young talent a chance to show themselves. And I really love that about Dark because no matter where they're at, these local talents, and I heard a lot of it. I mean, there was guys on SmackDown and Dynamite when they were in Cleveland that I knew because I just went to these indie shows the last week. Like the jobbers that Omos beat up. I just saw them in action the week before. Like it's kind of, you know, give them a chance. So I don't mind the dark thing, but you're right. If you got dark and dark elevation, why can't Ring of Honor be on YouTube for now? And then if it's getting really good ratings, maybe TV places will want it. I don't know.
Think about this. NWA, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Billy Corgan brought that back and was all YouTube. And they were getting a hell of a good buzz and a good fan following. And then from the YouTube, it's a free show. You get your advertisers. And then from there, they were doing pay-per-views every 4 months.
Power was really good back then. I enjoyed
it. Was.
And that old school feel, no entrance, people walking out to fight, interviews.
No music.
I love that. Felt like Saturday at 6:05 again.
Yeah, man, they were doing it. And now they still have the set and all that kind of stuff, but the talent just isn't the same for me. It's like I don't know what it is. Ever since COVID really crushed them, they never came back from that.
Luger getting run through the ringer in the chat a little bit.
Yeah, he wasn't seeing on that.
Best on the mic. He did have that fight with his shirt that one time, which was a classic.
Oh, that was hilarious. That was friggin' hilarious. And he played it too, man. He just owned it.
Luger versus the shirt, you know. You think about how wrestling would have changed in the 80s and early 90s if they had the internet like it is today.
Oh, God.
You know, I was surprised that they pulled off the Gargano return without anybody knowing about it. That's a miracle.
I think everyone knew about it. Everyone knew he was going to come back to the WWE once Triple H took over.
But they set it up for Cleveland, and they didn't do it in his hometown of Cleveland. Then they do it up in Canada, where not a lot of people. I mean, it was a win if, but it was like they brought him out now. And I didn't hear about it all day long on Twitter about he's going to debut tonight. So I'm hoping they do the same for Bray, because I'm kind of sold he's coming back, because there's been Easter eggs for 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's got to come back, and he can't be the Fiend and Bray Wyatt anywhere else.
No.
And not to say he can't create another character, because God knows that man's a brilliant.
Yes, he's got all kinds of. I think he comes back as the Fiend, if I could guess right now, because he has unfinished business. He has unfinished business with Orton and a couple people with the Fiend.
Yeah, he's got to lay out Alexa Bliss too.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all. I didn't dig her with the black stuff and all that. A little too.
Yeah, Alexa Bliss, I just love her to death, man. That girl has done anything they've thrown at her and made it gold.
Did you hear about the rumor with her right now, though? She has a new character she wants to bring out.
Now what?
I don't know. She just says she has a character that she would love to use, and she's hoping she can use it now because there's a new regime. Now, I don't know what it is. I'm hoping. I don't mind little superficial stuff, but if there's too much, it's like nobody's teleporting and stuff. Come on. Like, I know we suspend our disbelief for wrestling. And Undertaker did a great job of doing his superficial stuff, but
I'm actually enjoying Rosemary and their what do they call that? The dark world, or the undead world.
I don't mind it at all. There is a place for it. There's a lot of goth types out there that love that stuff, and there is a place for it. But I'm hoping the Fiend comes back just as this crazy, weird character.
Yeah, I'll just keep it.
And there was the rumors that
we're in an Undertaker-free environment, so there's a hole to be filled, and he's the only guy that could.
Yes, and the fact that I know there was rumors back about bringing the puppets to life, like having a buzzard, having a different character. Did you see the big pig costume that they were supposed to bring back, which looked pretty cool? But can you really call someone a pig nowadays? You might get canceled for it, for fat shaming.
If they're wearing a pig head?
Yeah. I don't know. But I'm excited about the fact that he does come back, because for three shows or 4 shows now, there's been little Easter eggs for Bray. And I think that's a really cool way of bringing him back and teasing him without being forward about it.
Do you think he comes back on a SmackDown Raw, or does he come back on a pay-per-view?
There's people saying, Drew, he comes back and helps Drew win at Clash. I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, I'm hearing Tyson Fury might make an appearance at the Clash, and they're going to use some people like Tegan Knox and people who are from that area that haven't been seen. Maybe throw Paige in there if she can just do an appearance. I mean, things like that. Have Bret Hart show up. He was in the main event against the British Bulldog 30 years ago, last time the UK had a big show. Bret Hart there would be nostalgic. It would be great. He could just come out and announce a match or something, or just come out and present a belt. I don't care. Just have Bret Hart there. But I really think Drew's going to win the belt. He never got his shine because of the COVID era. He never had fans during his title reign.
And I feel terrible about that whole time. It's like, why are they taking the belt off him? He should keep it. First off, there's no fans, so what are you worried about?
Yeah.
And let him keep it so he can at least have a couple months of fans and see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. And then they're kind of setting up because Roman is going to be gone for a while. Is Cross going to move in? It's going to be Drew and Karrion for a while. I don't know. I mean, I'm not against it. That's what I like about wrestling right now. In the Vince era, a lot was more predictable to me. Yeah. Like you could see, oh, here's a guy sitting at ringside. I wonder if it's going to turn into a tag match. Here we go. Or is this guy going to interfere because they're at the commentary booth? But now, same thing on both brands. I don't know what's happening. What's the main event for All Out? We don't know. I'm not mad at it. I like intrigue. That makes wrestling fun to me. People are so mad. Oh, I want to know who's fighting, who's next in line. I want to be able to predict who's going to win. No, I want to be surprised. Like when I do predictions and stuff, like I hate doing predictions, but we do it on my podcast just because we're talking about the pay-per-views. I love being wrong because I want to be surprised. I want to be like, I didn't see that coming. That's entertaining. I don't want to be one of those guys. See, I told you that was going to happen. Well, so did another million people that don't have a YouTube channel. Saw it coming from a mile away. You're nothing special, pal. But it is really fun. And I say this every time we do our podcast right now. I think it's a really great time to be a pro wrestling fan. You have options, tons of talent all over the place. And we always say, too, check your local scene. If you got indie wrestling in your area, go check it out, man. They need all the support you can. They're the ones busting their hump on a weekly, monthly basis to try to make it big. And you never know when you go to an indie wrestling show, see someone, and then like 6 months later, like, holy crap, they're on Dark. Holy crap, they're on Raw as a jobber or something. Who knows? That to me is a lot. I mean, this area, the tri-state area we're at, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and a little bit of lower New York and upper West Virginia, there's a lot of places to watch indie wrestling. A lot. And I want to be a part of it more, but my health kind of keeps me away from that for the most part, unfortunately. But it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, there's plenty out there.
If you choose to not be a hater on this and a hater on that, which everyone's hating on something, no matter what. No matter what these companies do, people are going to criticize it.
Somebody was mentioning moments ago about, right now that Triple H is kind of like the flavor of the month, but then after a while it's going to get old. Triple H
is a genius.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm
NXT
afraid
wasn't a month, man. NXT was a 6-7 year run of really top-notch development.
The only worry I had with him is if he was given these big returns every week and then there weren't any. Like, I'm glad there hasn't been one for a little while. Like, let's not get people to expect a big return. Like Tony Khan did for a while. He's like, big announcement tonight. And then, like, then you gotta work up to that. Where do you go from there?
And how many big announcements can you have before you run out of money?
Like, I like the intrigue. I know the salesmanship. You want to get people excited about the possibility of this or that. I see someone talking about Sasha Banks. I just saw a picture of her. She is cut. She has a 12-pack in her belly. She looks fantastic.
But she was always in good shape.
Yeah, always. I don't know. I'm iffy on that whole situation with her and Naomi. Part of me is like, shut up and do your job. You were in line for world championship pushes. Even though you're going to lose, you weren't in line to job out to nobody. You just wanted the tag team scene, and they didn't want the tag team scene. They were both lined up to fight for women's championships at the next pay-per-view, and they walked out.
Yeah, well, at the same point in time, though, if somebody doesn't take a stand, because you got to be honest, man,
see both sides.
That division was going down, not just the tag team, but the women's division wasn't getting the same love it did 2 years ago.
Yep.
Prior to COVID, and the tag team titles were a joke.
Yeah, and
there was no tag team division.
Well, even now, and I talked about this recently, the Legado coming up, some of these tag teams they're bringing on, Hit Row back. I'm not big fans of either of those, but they're tag teams. They're real tag teams. They're not can they coexist tag teams. I love the tag team division. I miss it.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while.
So it's good to see them building a tag team division again, for real.
Yep. But again, would that have happened had they not done what they did? Probably not, actually.
I still think
it wouldn't have happened if Vince wouldn't have got caught with his hand in a cookie jar. Is what it wouldn't have happened.
True. Who knew that, Vince McMahon and Ric Flair would have matches this year?
Oh, Lord. You know what? Now that you mention it that way, I'm thinking to myself, which one had the better match?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I didn't have any expectations for the Flair one. I really didn't. My expectations were really low. I just wanted, and he didn't even walk the aisle like I wanted him to walk the aisle.
Yeah,
I mean, I listened to it. I listened to your show during it. That's where I heard the feed, and I'm like, he's not Flair. No. And he's saying dehydrated. I'm saying you were drunk, brother.
A lot of people seem to be thinking that was what it was.
But I looked at it as an exhibition, as a here's the guy who was the man back in the day. I didn't look for him to be doing his flaw. I mean, I was, I thought Lethal would do it, and he did it, the flip over the ring and to walk the ropes and stuff. Flair did a couple things. I had no expectations as far as the fight goes. I was pretty sure he was going to blade.
Flair swore, though, going into that match, he guaranteed he was going to come off the top rope. Didn't happen.
And I did see him go over to...
If he'd have gone up, he would have come off the top rope, but God knows where he'd have landed.
And right at the end, when he went over to Andrade and said, I passed out, I saw him mouth the words. I'm like, dude just admitted he was out cold. But he's Ric Flair. He can do what he wants to do. I'm not anyone to tell him. I mean, he's a legend. Should he have fought that match? Probably not.
On that thing, there was a moment there where they're trying to put the brass knuckles on him, and he's just twitching like uncontrollably. And I'm like, no, this isn't funny anymore. I mean, you could see it wasn't an act, okay? Like the heart attack thing, which I thought was really bad taste. You could see that was an act, okay? Yeah. But that trying to hand him the thing, the fact that he barely tagged out to begin with and never stood up, he was on the apron laying down the entire time. I said, no, man, somebody's got to just wake up. I mean, this guy is in real bad shape.
Should have been more protecting him, just to honor him. Just like the I told people before that weekend started, I thought the roast was going to be the best part of the weekend. Ooh. But nobody roasted anybody. I watched that on your channel too, and I was like, this is a honor of Ric Flair, not a roast.
It was so bad.
Like I was like, man, that's going to be funny. I mean,
you had so much to work with.
Yeah. And there was a couple, the whole, Andrade and Charlotte, a Mexican and Charlotte thing was a good line. There was a couple good lines.
Great line.
Yeah, there was a good lines here and there, but
it's easy to remember the good lines because there was only two of them.
But I was like, man, I love those old Comedy Central roasts, and I was like, if they even have it close to that, it's going to be hilarious, but it just wasn't. You made it a lot more entertaining on your stream because we clowned on it and stuff.
Well, they set a pretty low bar, so I'm not going to get too excited about that.
They gave you something to clown on the whole time and say, well, here's another guy who's not really roasted anybody in the roast.
And I guess I could take it as a good thing in a way because there was, for that, I had like 4,000 views because I guess nobody was paying for that except me. And then for the Flair match, it got like 500 or 600 views because I'm guessing people did drop a few bucks to watch his last match.
Yeah. I used my VPN, so I only paid $20 to watch it, though.
No.
But the undercard was good. I liked the undercard.
It was a really great show until you got to the main event.
I fell in love with who was that? That Black Taurus guy, the big guy with some of those luchas were great. I mean, there was to see.
Have you not seen Taurus before?
No, I haven't. That was the first time I saw him, and I was like.
He's an Impact a lot, and him and Laredo. First off, they've had matches going back to Mexico, so they know each other. Back when they were here in Kissimmee, so if you go back to whatever that 4 months ago, whatever, on YouTube and their channels, they have a match between Laredo Kid and Black Taurus. You got to watch that match. That was the very first match of the 2 nights, and I'd gotten my girlfriend to go, right, and she'd seen one AEW event with me, but we were up in the nosebleeds for that, and she liked it. Well, we're like front row for this because it's a smaller crowd, 500 people, and I work there, so pull some strings. Yeah. So front row there. And the first match she sees is Black Taurus going up against Laredo. You watch this match, dude. It was poetry. I mean, it was absolute perfection, every move. And they did some high-risk maneuvers, corkscrew in the air, and they hit perfectly every time. And that, I looked at her and she was like totally different. So when we're done with the night, I said, okay, AEW or Impact? She said, Impact. Not even close.
Yeah, I dig that. I like a little bit of everything. Like some people bust on the too much flippy shit and this, that. No, I like a little bit of lucha, a little bit of power, a little bit of groundwork. I like a little bit of everything in a show.
Who did that before? Oh, yeah. I remember a guy. Some guy in Philadelphia did that for a while.
Yeah. A little hardcore here and there, a little blood, a little barbed
Classic
wire,
wrestling,
a couple tables.
Yeah,
you got some grappling at the same time.
Novel idea, mixing different styles up on the same card. Holy cow! Who'd have thought that could work?
Who knows? Well,
but that's what I love about Impact. My favorite part about Impact, you don't have to be a heel versus a baby face, man. You can.
No, I think those days are gone, man. I mean, there still is, but I think there's more of a gray area now than there ever has been. And the cool heels of Steve Austin and those guys, you're allowed. Like, I hear so many people say, you should cheer the good guys and boo the heels. No, cheer whoever you want. Cheer whoever you want. I like those tweeners as well. And there's definitely straight up fan favorites and straight up bad guys too. I like the gray in between as well. Cheer whoever you want to. Be a fan of whoever you like.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of pro wrestling, is you don't have to only like a certain type of wrestler or person. I know a lot of guys that only like the bad guys.
No, yeah, definitely. There's always, even in the movies, that exists. Darth Vader's got fans.
Well, when you can choke someone from afar, that's pretty impressive.
Fun out of it. You don't get that one-on-one.
True.
The quality time. What happened to the quality time?
If he really wants to get hands-on, I'm sure he could, but I wouldn't want to test him.
God knows where that glove has been.
True. Hey, this has been a blast. I do have to go. I love reminiscing with you.
Well, it's been great having you here, man. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you do here. You're mixing it up a little bit. You're taking it back, plus still doing your thing. I appreciate it. It's good entertainment. People, if you're not subscribed to this channel, you're doing it wrong. Bottom line.
You too, man. All right. Well, I'm probably going to wrap this up as well right about now, because we've gone through everything this magazine had to offer here today. So go check out the world. What time is your interview?
I'm interviewing 2 Philadelphia guys tonight.
What time? 7?
8 p.m. Eastern. I got another hour and a half here, and then I'm gonna plan on doing some more, and I start doing NFL on Sundays next week too. So
you're all over the map.
I'm trying. If I'm healthy enough, I'll stream every day if I can, but unfortunately I can't. I just like entertaining people one way or another. I always say, whether you're laughing with me or at me, you're smiling.
This is true. And some people, you know, it's a gift if you can allow people to laugh at you.
And you got to be able to make fun of yourself, man. First time I did a face reveal, I was like, yes, I got a big nose and big ears. You can't make fun of them. It's been done a million times. Make fun of my bald head, it doesn't matter. It doesn't get me. You know, get it off your chest if you need to.
Yep. If you can't make yourself part of the joke, then you can't tell jokes about nobody else.
Amen. Well said, brother. I will see you very soon. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for
being
here.
Shout out to everybody in the live chat, too.
We'll swing by and check you out tonight, 8 o'clock.
I got some fun stuff with it. I always got something up my sleeve, even though I'm not wearing sleeves on the interviews.
Well, you go figure, right?
Peace out, my friend. Take care.
Thank you so much, man. And then for everybody else, thank you for joining us here tonight. This has been a blast, and we'll be doing it again. Some more Pro Wrestling Illustrated review. And remember, I think next time we might do the WWF magazine and cover the early episodes, issues of that magazine. So again, thanks everybody for being here from ringside. This is Vince McSham saying thank you and so long.